have we been overemphasizing just on the operational carbon in terms of the technology that we have to save the amount of energy, but not do enough in looking at the production process of all these materials? Yeah. So maybe can I get so maybe I'll get Philip to comment first, because yeah, Philip, would you like to share your thoughts on this?
Okay, I do agree with Harry in a sense that a lot of emphasis has been given to the functional benefit of what you call decarbonization. But then I think not enough of it has been given to the embodied energy. And he mentioned about the solar panels. Okay, solar panel is not exactly I mean used to be a high embodied energy component, but since then it has been substantially reduced to the extent that the embodied energy of most solar panel now can be offset within a matter of a year or two, right? More like 3 years. Whereas I would say, for example, the glass industry is a huge embodied energy involved, but because we were going with ETTVs and all that, in that way, it sort of it somewhat cushion off the effect of the embodied energy used by glass. And aluminum is a very energy intensive industry. We have studied the carbon footprint of aluminum. It's probably come out top among the rest of the what you call the so that's one thing. The other thing is, I think it was mentioned of the LES, whether it is a low carbon embodied energy. I can tell you one thing, LES uses a very simple form of manufacturing process. In fact, it is probably also the oldest form of manufacturing process. It simply uses printing, and the printing is done under ambient temperature. The only heat that we will probably use is the heat to laminate the glass together. And that again is also not a huge amount of embodied energy, because the temperature used is only about 140 degrees C. So on an overall basis, I think LES I can consider to be a very low carbon production. Given the high energy saving, I would say the energy offset could be in terms of weeks and months, not years, right?
Thank you, Philip. I think that's a very good insights that, you know, the amount of energy that is able to save from the operational will probably offset in terms of the production process in some of the energy that is being consumed. Yep. So maybe I'll move on as well to Lena as an architect. What are your views, you know, on that aspect of the sustainability? Do you feel that our industry is doing enough to look also at the embodied carbon, or there are more that we can do? And do you feel that it is necessary?
I think, sorry, I really can't speak on this. Normally, we have a sustainability engineer who advises the details for all these issues. So they are more well-versed on these items. Yeah.
Okay, no worries. Yeah. I think the important part from an architectural point could be that, you know, if we do use a material that is low embodied carbon and still able to help in operational, but still deliver the performance and able to fulfill the design freedom that architects have.
Yes, of course. Thank you. We will normally listen to the options offered and the advice given by them, and then we will consider that and see what best we can do to fit into the aesthetic.
Yes, correct. Okay, so I maybe move on to Derek, because yeah, I think Philip has mentioned that aluminium is actually very high intensive production, but I do know as well in Technoform, if I remember correctly, you do have also what we call a low carbon aluminium. So do you want to make your, give us a few insights of what you think on this subject?
Okay, so in Technoform, we don't produce aluminium. We produce thermal brick, which is actually the PA66GF25. So we specialize in engineered plastic base because we have like over 5 decades of know-how lah. So I think at this point I want to share that we should consider beyond embodied carbon as the beyond embodied carbon of a product lah. We also need to evaluate the operational carbon for implementing technologies. So I'll give you an example. The embodied carbon for a single glazing is 2.5 times lower compared to a low E double glazing. But does that mean we should actually stick with single glazing? Because in my presentation, single glazing transmit actually more heat into the indoor environment, which requires more cooling compared to the double glazing unit. So I mean, in this case, the air conditioner will actually have to work harder. When they work harder, they use more energy. So when they use more energy, more electricity means more operational carbon is being used lah. So actually, with thermal brick and warm spacer, the electricity saved as the room require less energy to cool. Then this kind of saving actually translate to what we call the carbon payback for adopting energy saving solutions. So for us, we have actually done a carbon payback study, and by using our technologies like thermal brick as well as warm spacer, so the carbon payback is about 3 to 4 years. I mean, depending on the system design and the use. Yeah.
Thank you, Derek. I fully agree. I think the first priority will still be the operational efficiency, because that helps to reduce on a longer run, right? Especially buildings, we are talking about 30, 50 years, how to reduce the energy consumption of it. That is definitely the priority. And if we have already reached the optimum in that aspect, then we can look at what others we can help to reduce the carbon to save our environment. Yeah. So I'm not sure whether Richard is there, but maybe I'll just move on to Vance so that he can give us his perspective from a consultant, from his consultant perspective. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, Gwen, actually, what perspective do you want to hear from me?
Sorry. Yeah, no worries. So I was saying that there was this comment from Harry saying that, we in our industry tends to look a lot on technology, new technology that can help us to save operational carbon, but we ignore the production process of it, because the production process of that technology could consume more energy. So so that's where I thought that it will be interesting to have everybody's view on this. Do we feel that how our industry can actually look beyond just the operational carbon or the saving of energy from the operation phase to looking at the materials production process and carbon emission?
Actually not true, because in Arup we've been if we talk about just for such materials, aluminum, steel, glass, PVBs, sealants, we've actually been undertaking a study how much carbon it actually takes, say, to produce 1 kilogram of steel versus 1 kilogram of aluminum, or even to the extent, say, aluminum curtain wall system, say of a size 1 meter by 2 meters, to achieve, say, on a 30-story building, and then we replace the aluminum with steel. So how thick or how wide this steel is translates to the kilograms. Then we try to find out what's the production carbon actually. So, but this is still an ongoing study because it's quite new in Singapore, and for site, it's actually a very specialized trade and involves a lot of materials. So we hope to close this study towards the end of the year, so we know all the numbers from extracting the material to production to operational carbon. Yeah.
Thanks, Van. So it's good to know that actually, as an industry, we are actually advancing as well to have studies and statistics and numbers to help us to know, between the different materials, how much is the embodied carbon. So it's good to know that Arup is one step in advance and looking at all this. Yeah, so that's great. And I think that will also help our industry to advance to use materials that are maybe low carbon that
Yeah.
helps to contribute to our climate.
Yeah.
So
That's
I see
what
that
we aim
Richard,
to do. Yeah.
so I see Richard is now, on screen. So I do not want to miss him as well. So Richard, would you also want to share with us your perspective on this? Yeah.
No, I'm probably not an expert to provide any kind of perspective. So
Yeah,
I
but
don't-
more than in terms of the sustainability part, your own views but you talk about it.
Well, personally, it's the green movement is a big plus, and everybody should head in that direction. So I think most of the topics here are generally in their regard. So for my product, not for my product, for AGC's product of ETFE, that certainly is in that direction. And again, you're just scratching the surface of the multitude of products, the AGC is churning out, for as far as green products are concerned. This is just but one of the many that they have. There's a fantastic R&D department that just keeps churning new sustainable products and also improving on existing ones.
Thank you, Richard. In fact, I did see that AGC just announced that they, in APAC, in our Southeast Asia, they now have low carbon glass manufacturing. So I thought that, this is definitely also what we see. Most of the building materials are also moving towards how they can produce their materials more energy efficient and lower carbon, which is great. Okay, so I think we have come to the end of our webinar. I'd like to thank everyone for your participation.